from the bat to warn you, this is going to be a talky video where I'm going to talk about some ideas. So if you're looking to make something, you might want to skip the video. Equally, if you're totally offended by the ideas that I'm talking about, give it a thumbs down. Now, if you want to comment, I'd love it. I love talking about ideas, and I will try to respond to the comments as well as I can, given the amount of time I've got, the number of comments. So please feel free to comment. Now, the subject of the video actually is a question I get asked actually quite a lot, but it was prompted by an email that I got yesterday from a chap, and he's asked, what is it that I have done to get me where I am today, and what kind of things would I recommend that he read in order to be able to catch up, speed up, get into it? And it's a really global question, obviously, and extremely difficult to answer. So I wasn't going to write an email back because it was just going to be huge. So I warned him that I would make a video, and I wrote a short reply back. And this is the video. Now, to answer that question, to be honest, is next to impossible, because you don't know what it is that's going to inform you. All experiences have value. Now, I trained as a chemist, that's certainly true, but I've done a lot of other things in my life. As you can probably tell, I've messed around with woodwork, I've done housing renovation in my own homes, I've done building work for other people, I've done a ton of different things throughout my life. And of course, I'm 60 years old, so it's a lot of time doing those things. And I never know what it is that's going to help me when I'm thinking about something else. It's about making those connections. And no experience is any more or any less valuable than any other experience. It's actually just a question of how you make the links and how you use that experience. Now, I'm basically a fat old guy bumbling around in a shed, mucking around with things, as you know. That's what I am, that's what I'm doing. So to be brutally honest, there is nothing special about what I have done, what I am doing, and who I am that is no more or no less special than about 7 billion other people. It's the way it is. It's impossible to be able to give a pointer, and if you give a pointer, what you're actually doing is casting somebody in your own mould, which I consider to be wrong, because you need to cast yourself in your mould and make use of your experiences that you have. And there's no telling how those experiences are going to help you in what it is that you want to do. If you want to gain experience in something, then by all means, that's the point. Because to my mind, it isn't about the goal. It's not about arriving at the end. It's actually about the journey itself. So the gaining of the experience has value all of its own, without necessarily being valuable if only you reach the goal. That's not the point. The point is when you're on the road and you're on the journey and you open a door, what you'll see is 6 other doors. And you'll make a choice about which of those doors to go through. You might come back and go through another one. And that route of exploration, that journeying down the path, is actually what really matters. Because in that, you will gain all kinds of experiences. And you won't know which ones of them are going to be useful until you make those links and use them. Now, directing your life on a goal and trying to achieve a goal is kind of the same thing as control. We like to have that illusion that we want to control things, and control is really important to people for some crazy, crazy reason. Now, I read something that I totally agreed with, and that is control is an illusion. There's only really one thing you can control, and that's pretty much how you feel about things. And I agree with that. And I also think that goals in themselves are an illusion. That when you try to achieve a goal, what you actually achieve is going down the path. And you need to recognize that the value of the experiences that you have had that make you you, and then use those experiences going forward. Reaching the goal actually isn't the point. It's like being in control isn't the point. It's not important to be in control. It's not important to reach the goal. It's important to recognize your own feelings about things and to pay attention to them and control your own feelings and how you feel about things and how you respond to them. That's important. It's important to have a direction, because that is what moves you down the path, but it's not actually important to reach that goal. It's important to have the direction, have the experience and use those experiences. Or at least that's what I believe. Now, a lot of what I do, I try to do with minimum tool sets, tiny amounts of materials you can scavenge, materials you can find, and working with basic tools. Now, I see a lot of things on YouTube where guys have just awesome shops. I mean, they're shops to drool over, they really are. And of course they do beautiful, beautiful work. And my work is going to be nowhere near as beautiful as that because I don't have the tools to do it. But I do, I think, a reasonable job out of what I have, using the experiences I have in the past to do that job. And that's what I think is important. So when I make something, actually I have pride in what I make and I enjoy the process of making it. When I have the final object and I use that object, I get pleasure from using it. But I don't ignore the fact of the joy I had in making. And that's a huge thing. Now, when we're doing this exploration of things like batteries and generators and storage devices and all the kinds of things that we do, they're actually informed by all the other stuff that we do. So I see things in a very mechanistic way. I see things that when you're making a battery, it's kind of the mechanics of making it that are going to have a big impact on the performance. Things like tabbing density, current density at the tab point, the quality of the tab, the material and the way you fold it. Now all those are informed by things like my bookmaking experience. And I used to make books. I used to make and bind books as a hobby. It's huge fun. I used to enjoy it tremendously. But it's really helped in me making batteries. And who'd have thought that? At the time when I was binding books, who would have thought that would come in useful for battery making? And yet it did. So what is it that you need to acquire if you want to do these things? Well, experience. And pretty much any experience. Then it's a matter of the way you see it. Then I think the way you see it is much more important because the experiences are going to be vastly different depending on the person. And no experience is going to be any less or any more valuable than any other experience. It only really comes down to then how you make that link and how you use the experiences that you have had. And that will create you, and it will create your thing that will be an expression of you. Those are the things that I think have value, and I hope that it approaches answering that question, really. I'm not sure if it does. I'm not sure if it's the answer that people wanted, but I thought I would share those ideas with you. I hope it was of interest, and thank you very much for watching.